All right, we're here. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Michael Bunker here. I hope we're on. I hope you guys can get this. I hope the visual's working. I hope I got the sound working. Let me know if you're out there. Let me know as soon as possible. Get into the comments section and let me know if the audio and visual is working. This is a live show, so we're going to wait till some people get here, and then we'll kick it off. You just never know. So I'm back from Fredericksburg, Texas. Went to Fredericksburg for a couple of days. That's about 2 hours dead south of us. And for those of you who don't, thank you, Pat. Those of you who don't know, Fredericksburg is a German town. It was a German colony back when Texas was founded. And so it's upscale shops, but there's a lot of food, really good food, and other enjoyments. It's kind of a fun place to go. It's only about 2 hours south here. It's one of my favorite places. So I'm going to go ahead and do the box thing, and then we'll come back. You guys get into the comment section, push in, say hi, let me know where you are, etc., and we'll get going. Hi, Fran. Hi, Pat. Jennifer's here. Hi, Jennifer. I love you. I miss you. Brett's here. Donna's here. Good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Bunker. This is the Bunker Nation Show. I'm going to be your host for the evening. My old buddy Jerry from junior high and high school is here. Good to see you. You guys push on in here. Let me know where you are. Say hi. If you have questions, comments, topics, anything you want to talk about, just put it in the comment section. Don't wait. Don't wait to see if Michael Bunker goes on a rant and then just enjoy yourself. Because if I run out of things to talk about, I want to look over in the comment section and perhaps there's something over there. All right, Richard, good to see you. Richard's in Lubbock. I know where he is. Everybody else needs to tell me where you are. All right, so this happened. I want to show you, just in case you didn't already know. We've been trying to get to 2,000 subs. That doesn't mean it's going to stay that way, because I will inevitably piss some people off probably tonight. And some of them will probably unsubscribe. And it may go down, but eventually it's the upward trend will continue until I am deplatformed, which is probably inevitable. All right, everybody, come on in. Billy's here, South Carolina. Love you too, brother. Boy, you guys push on in. Everybody say, you must have missed me. I go on a little vacation and the world just goes to pot. I think the world had already gone to pot, and that may be what's going on. All right. Hello, Facebook user. It doesn't tell you you are. By the way, everybody, wherever you are, you're only going to see the comment from your platform. Hello, Frank. Frank's over in Richland Springs, Texas. And so if you're on Facebook, you're probably only going to see, and it's on 3 Facebook pages. We're broadcasting on YouTube, we're broadcasting on Periscope, we're broadcasting on Twitch. So you're probably only going to see comments from your platform, wherever you're watching this. But I try to read them out loud if there's questions or comments, or I put them on the screen, and so then you'll be able to see it. Hello, Christopher. Yes, I'm glad I'm healthy too. Thank you for that. Yeah, we took a little vacation. We felt like we deserved it. Danielle and I went down to Fredericksburg. We enjoyed ourselves. We did a lot of walking. We did a lot of visiting some of our favorite places. And one of the favorite places I like to go down there is my buddy Bob. He has the cigar shop there in the Tabak House, Tabak. If you're ever in Fredericksburg, make sure you go by and say hi to Bob and to Gain. Gain is a writer as well, and he works down there sometimes. And so we had a pretty good little meetup. My good friend Matt Heron, MG Heron, author, look him up, came over from Austin, and we all sat around and had some scotches and some good cigars and some good conversation. And it was just a really, really good, relaxing time. We were getting close to like 2 months since we had the COVID, starting to get back to full strength and full health. And so it was good to be able to actually take some time off. We were on grid. We were on grid for two days. We're back off grid now. So those of you who are new to the show, I live off grid. I'm down here in my office. I have solar power. Right now we are operating by the magical power of the generator. because I wasn't here to plug everything into the solar power. So everything's running off the generator right now, except for that light, which is a battery. Everything else is running off the generator right now. All right, so if anybody has questions, comments, topics you want to talk about, weird stuff going on in the world, a lot of weird stuff. I have not watched the news. Only time I ever saw the news was like if we went into the lobby of the hotel, they had the news on, and it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. So I don't have opinions about what's going to happen or what might happen as far as all that goes. Hello, good to see you. Primal Man is here. I have no idea. I don't have an opinion on it. Things are going to play out the way they're going to play out. Everything that I've told you going back 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, and the earliest March is coming to pass exactly like we said, like we talked about here. And things are getting crazy. People getting deplatformed. People losing all their Twitter followers, and people getting kicked off the Facebooks and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of thing is inevitable. The next step. So, like I said, the political part, I just leave that alone because that's all going to play out. It's all going to play out. We are, as I've said for months and months and months and months and probably years, we are in the midst of a Marxist revolution in this country. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I am an avid anti-Marxist, anti-socialist, and I don't pretend to be anything different. And we are in the middle of a Marxist revolution in this country. Whether or not you think it is or whatever, doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. But what we're actually seeing is basically like 1984 being played out. Everybody thinks, whatever they think about their political party, their particular uniform. But in reality, the powers that be don't care about that any more than anyone else. All they care about is naked power. And they are grabbing it. They are silencing people who don't agree with them. They are otherizing the old guard. And you are the old guard if you even believe for a moment that you ought to have a right to life, liberty, and property, and to say the things that you want to say without prior restraint or recrimination. And if you are old guard, which means you are one of the old thinkers, the old crusty, stale freedom worshipers, you're going to be excommunicated. You're going to be all of those things. You're going to be put out in the woodshed, in the gulag, wherever it's going to happen. That's where we're heading. And it's going fast. It's going fast. So we have to enjoy these moments that we have together to sit here and call it what it is. Hello from Kentucky, Facebook user. If you don't kind of get on, when you get on Facebook and like give it permission to send your name through the system, then it doesn't. It just tells me Facebook user. So good to see you guys. If you want to, you can cruise on over to YouTube while we're still allowed to do it and subscribe, because like I showed it. I don't know, some of you might have got here afterwards, but we got this. We hit 2,000 subscribers. And we'll see if it stays that way. But I've been looking forward to having 2,000. They say, and I have no idea if it's true, but they say that once you hit 2,000, the algorithm kind of skews a little bit more in your direction, and you might get some more recommendations and all that kind of stuff. But we all know how that goes. Hit the like button, Pat says. Thank you, Pat. That's true. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're on YouTube, and leave comments after the show is over. So anyways, hopefully you've taken the opportunity to prepare yourself and your family. And if not, you may still have a short window of time where you can perhaps become less dependent on a system that hates you. Why would you be dependent on a system that hates you and has declared its hatred of your religion, of your stale thinking, of your and if I'm not getting into, I have liberal friends, I have socialist friends who know exactly what I think about their positions. And so we're not talking about your political cartoons of left and right. We're talking about the right to life, liberty, and property, and the ability to say what you think, and for us to have an open marketplace of ideas. That is going away. And we never thought we would see that, or at least a lot of people didn't. I always thought we would see it, and been saying it for a long time. Working on comms right now. That's a good thing to be working on. Hopefully everybody's working on something. We were in Fredericksburg today. We went to H-E-B. If you're not in Texas, you may not know H-E-B is one of the best grocery stores there is. And we always like to go to HEB because we never get to go there, and they got all the good stuff. So we haven't been able to pick up any canning jars in a long time because everybody's out of them. And there's a good reason for everybody to be out of them. We got down there to HEB in Fredericksburg, and we got 4 cases of wide mouth pint jars for pretty cheap. And so it was good to be able to pick those up. We have a bull going into the butcher on February 8th, and Lord willing, and that'll be good because we're going to can a lot of that and get it in the root cellar. We already got a bunch of meat in the root cellar. We're going to put more in there. John says, off topic, but I'm thinking of building a cold smokehouse out of Adobe. My weather is just like yours, but we have no stone on the land. Do you have any ideas or thoughts on the durability of Adobe? I think Adobe would make a great cold smokehouse. You could also build them out of wood, but I think Adobe would make a great smokehouse. Just make sure that your firebox is below and maybe 10 to 15 feet. 15 feet would be better away from your smokehouse, and you just make sure that it flows good, that it draws well. That's the biggest thing. And so our smokehouse, mine is a 12-foot by 12-foot stone smokehouse built in the old Texas style, and we have a firebox that's down the hill, and it's piped. The smoke is piped up in there, so it's a cold smokehouse. If people want to see pictures of that, you can probably find them on my blog. If not, maybe look on Facebook. If not, send me a message and I'll send you some pictures. Show you. Maybe I'll put some pictures on here on one of the upcoming shows. Dan's here. Dan's an artist, a great artist. He says he's working on cartoons. Get your cartoons out there. Tony Bruno's here, you guys. All right. Good to see you, brother. All right, you guys. So we're basically talking about the fact that it would probably behoove you to prepare. This is not any kind of radical idea. This generally was the way that people lived for hundreds and hundreds of years until the Industrial Revolution, and the subsequent technology revolution convinced people that somehow being dependent on a system was better. Being a dependent cog in the machine is better. Whereas for centuries before that, millennia, people had to think. They actually had to think about what they might need in the coming seasons and what they might need to grow and all of that kind of stuff. And that's the reason you're here, by the way. If you would take a second and just look down at yourself, look at your hands. The reason you're here is because your ancestors were preppers. Kind of makes some of you sick to your stomach because you don't like the idea of prepping. But it's the only reason you're here. It's because somebody cared more for their progeny and for their neighbor and for others, that they took the time to make sure that they were in a survivable situation and that they could continue the species. Some of you have grown so stupid in the intervening years, you actually convinced yourself that food comes from a store, that's where it comes from, and it's always going to be there. And yet we have so much evidence in every culture that's died and risen and died since then that's absolutely not true. That we have lived in a small window of time when this just-in-time system of goods and services has been available, and that small window has stupidified the entire populace into thinking that it's somebody else's job to make sure that your family has food and that your neighbors can be stabilized and that everybody just doesn't die because the power went out. So we didn't even have electricity for thousands of years, and electricity, as far as it being widely available in a lot of places in the country, is less than 100 years old. I'm 54. Electricity in a lot of places in the country didn't get there until the 1930s when the TVA and all that happened. I was born in 1967. Electricity's not that old. It's fairly new. And in that window of time, most of you have become so stupid that you believe that it is as natural as a tree growing in your yard. It just is there. You flip a switch and there's power there. It's magic, but it's not. It's rare, and it is not absolutely guaranteed to you. And so start thinking about what you might do, even in the baby steps, to start making your situation better. Had you been listening to me over the years, you probably would be in a better situation. And some of you have, and you are, but there's no time like the present. All right. And so stop, grieving or whatever you're doing over your political shenanigans and get to work. That's my message for today. Stop whatever black cloud you got or whatever, or celebrating whatever it is, and get to work. Perhaps the day will come where you'll be able to provide for yourself, for your family, or your children when the world's going to hell and burning all around you. Wouldn't that be great? Chris says, Michael, as someone looking, hopefully not too late, at off-grid living and prepping, any starting advice? You may already be talking about this now, but still. Yeah, I think the best way how you think about these things is you have to start thinking about what stuff you do and how to do it. So the bunker principle says you should have 3 ways to do everything that's mission critical. The way you do it now, which is your on-grid way. You have an off-grid way, and then you have a beyond off-grid way. So you start thinking about how you cook, how you store your food, all of these things, and you should have 3 ways. So you should have 3 ways to make coffee. You should have 3. The bunker principle is have 3 ways to do everything. That's how you start. And then once you start doing that, then you'll start thinking about what things you might want to prepare to store, to have extras of, maybe a root cellar or something like that, or a basement, what things you might provide for yourself that you might be able to grow. So what you have to do is you have to get your mind right about that stuff. Now, if you're already there and you're actually talking about moving off grid, what you have to do is practice. You have to basically turn your power off or take a power vacation for a couple of days so that you will be enlightened as to what things you're going to need to learn or what tools you might need to have so that you can learn to do without that stuff. There's nothing wrong with having an alternative form of power, having your own power grid, whether that's solar, wind, a generator, or whatever. But don't rely on those any more than you rely on the local power and light company. They are a tool. They're not to be, you don't suspend yourself over a fire with a spider's web. You just don't. All right. You just learn how to do without it. Lewis says, my grandmother didn't have it as a kid. Used to tell a story that when indoor plumbing came around, my great grandmother didn't want to cut because nobody should be shitting inside their house. I like that. I like the way you think. We have an outhouse, but it's not. It's hard to convince people. I know people that are in their 60s and 70s, but they've always had electricity, and they're completely floored with the idea that most of the people in the country got electricity during their lifetime or right before it. It's just shocking to them. Donna says 3 is 2 and 1 is none. This is true. This is a maximum preparedness. Figure out what stuff you need. Figure out what you need to store on the short term to have available to stabilize yourself and your family and hopefully your neighbors and loved ones in case of interruptions in goods and services. From that point, you move farther to where you learn how to use tools. You learn how to do things so that if this interruption is long term, for example, if you get if they pass some kind of, I don't know, domestic terrorism bill and say, I don't know, because of your stale thinking, because of your clinging to your Bible and your guns or whatever, your silly ideas of freedom, you're not allowed to use the store anymore. We're turning your power off or whatever it is. If they do that, then you can operate without it. So if you have to, start slow, but start. Take the first steps. And, it started with me, I don't know, decades ago, turning the power off and realizing I didn't know how to make coffee. I could make camp coffee. I'm being a little bit extreme. I knew how to make camp coffee, but I did not sit there and think about what would I would do. How would I do this at home? We have electric stove. We have all this kind of stuff. How would I do this? And it just started with that. It's like, oh, okay, well, I need to get me a Coleman stove. Well, that's the off-grid way. But then I also need to know how to build a fire if I need to. I need to know how to cook. I need to know how to feed my family. I need to get chickens. I need to grow gardens. I need to start storing stuff. I need to learn how to preserve food, and I need to know how to use tools. And that's how it got started a long, long, long time ago. All right. If you guys have questions or comments, perhaps you want to wax eloquent about what we need to be doing. What should we be doing? The best thing you can do right now is get your mind out of the political sewer. Quit thinking that somehow between your ears you're going to fix things, or that somehow you're going to create some type of bubble of intellectual safety and you have to get to work. We need to be positive and start doing things. All right. And so, like I said, it has nothing to do with politics. My party wasn't involved in the recent election or anything that's happened since then. And so it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that whether you are on the left or on the right, we are our ability, our rights to say what we think, to be engaged in the marketplace of idea is being stripped by a small cabal of Karens, the Karenati, who have decided, even though they want to speak to the manager of the world, that you're not allowed to say things anymore. You're not allowed to believe those things, and they are going to shut you down. They are going to shut you down if you don't do what you're told. And so that's something that is happening. I don't care whether you don't think it's happening. That's just your denial of reality doesn't change things. Secondly, recognizing the truth and stating the truth is not pessimistic. I'm not a pessimist. Recognizing the truth merely opens up the entire panorama of options that you have and ways to think that perhaps you had closed off because you were so dependent. Recognizing that your dependence on some type of political system or who's in power is what gave them the power. The fact that you thought your political party was going to save the day, or you think yours now is going to save the day, is what gives them power. There's no way an election in America should be this important, because the people that are elected shouldn't have enough power to take away your life, liberty, and property. And if they can't do that, if they don't have the power to do it, then who wins elections is kind of interesting. It's kind of like sports, but it's become critically important because everybody knows, based on who gets elected, what's going to happen, who's going to manipulate and cheat that system so that they can silence their enemies, put people in jail, and all that kind of stuff. So that's where we are. And it's your fault because you continue to enable these people with your political shenanigans, and you're thinking that there's going to be a political savior, and there's not. Start thinking and thriving, because that's what we need to be doing right now. All right. Hava says, I learned how to grind coffee beans with construction tools. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And so, yeah, it's just, it seems like, somebody could be sitting out there going, well, we're talking about grinding coffee. Coffee's not critically important. Yes, we know. Jeremiah Johnson. What we're saying is it's a way to start thinking for people that are new at it. I'm not new at it. I've been doing this a whole long time, and I don't need any of it. I don't need any of it. I can go a long time without food, period. So I don't need any of it, but I'm trying to help people. Anna says, rural areas of southern Indiana down by the river in Kentucky did not have power until the early 1950s. That's true. Towns did, but not 2 miles out of town. There are still places where there is no rural electric power. And because of the remote area, it would cost way too much to run it. And so people live off grid. I'm not an advocate that everybody go out there and build their own power system, although those things are fine. If you want to have off grid power, that's fine. I am an advocate of learning how to do without any of it, and embracing discomfort, learning how to live with it, and actually thrive is the best mental exercise that you can have. Freedom is not a ticket, the golden ticket that you found in a chocolate bar that's going to let you go down and you're going to own the chocolate factory. It's not something that government gives to you. It's something that you exercise, you use, and you learn to say no, because that's your only real right. Your only inalienable right is to say no and to live with the consequences of saying no. Saying, I'm not going to participate, I'm not going to do that. I am going to do this, but I'm not going to do that. And then just learning to bend or whatever you have to do to not bend to them, but bend to whatever penalties and things that are meted out. So, all right. If you have questions or comments, things you want to talk about, you have opinions, you have ideas, you can put them in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you think. If you are a future person, which means you're not watching this live, it doesn't say live up here somewhere. If you're a future person, welcome. I'm glad you tuned in. Welcome to the Bunker Nation. We're glad to have you here. If you're watching this on YouTube, after this is over, or if you're a future person, go down in the comment section, the down here, and just put a comment. Say, I think you're an idiot, or I think this is great. I want to watch. I don't care what the comment is. The more comments, the more it kind of works with the YouTube algorithm, especially if you smash the like button and subscribe. All right. If you guys have any more questions or comments, let's go ahead and get them in here. We got to 2,000 subscribers, so there's a celebration. I don't know if it'll stay that way. It may be 1,999 after this show, because I call people stupid. Sometimes I do that. It's not a pejorative. When I say that, it is not ad hominem. In many cases, it's just a forensic analysis of your intellectual capacity. So it's not meant to be insulting. Sometimes they're just for me. All right, Diane said hello from Florida. All right, good to see you. Yeah, so glad to have 2,000 subscribers. Hoping to keep trucking. I would like, when they kick me off, to have so many that it hurts, like 10,000. And then they kick me off, and they're like, I had 10,000 subscribers. But I don't know. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. We'll see. Maybe they're not going to kick me off. Maybe I'll be like the token guy out here saying, buy beans and bacon. We'll see. All right. Let me see what we got over here. Yeah, and so by the way, speaking of coffee, Bunker Nation coffee is going to be coming pretty soon. I'm about to put in my order, and so we're going to get Bunker Nation coffee going. Rob, who is my webmaster, is totally rebuilding the michaelbunker.com site. You can see it right here, michaelbunker.com. Go to that, click on it, check it out. But it's going to be totally redone completely. We're going to have a merch page. We're going to have hoodies that say Bunker Nation on them. We're going to have the Embrace Discomfort stuff, T-shirts, hats, other goodies, and Bunker Nation coffee. All of that is so that we can continue to try to expand this show. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to start putting the show up on Parler and on MeWe and on other places. Right now, we're available here on YouTube. We're on Facebook on 3 channels, Twitter, Twitch. Twitter's Periscope, Twitch, and then it's going to be, you can always find them after the show at michaelbunker.com. All the shows are cataloged there, and hopefully we're going to start having the live shows there. If you hate YouTube, at some point we're hopefully going to be doing this live at michaelbunker.com. We just got to find a way that we can actually get the comments into there. All right, any new books in the pipeline? Yeah, there's quite a bit. I haven't really actually worked on any books since the God in the Storm came out. So God in the Storm came out a couple of months ago, and I've been kind of on a break because of my power situation. Hopefully that's going to be sorted out in the next week and a half. And so I'm using the generator for now. The reason why is because if I come down and I hook everything up with the generator, power up my laptop, then I only have a certain window of time that I have enough power to use it. And if I'm going to do a show, it doesn't always work out. So once I have power around the clock, hopefully in the next week or two, then I'll be able to actually work on books. And so I have 4 other books that I want to get out in the next couple of months. Frank says the Army used Adobe in frontier era forts. Old drawings of those buildings, the Adobe is plastered and they have a peaked roof with an overhang to protect the Adobe from rain. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And so there's a lot of great building ideas that you could use. You could do a smokehouse with straw bale construction if it's a cold smokehouse, so you're not actually like having fire in there. But you can also plaster the insides and the outsides of that stuff. No real reason to do that except that sometimes it's cheap. If you can get hay, straw bales for cheap, then it's something you could do. But I think Adobe bricks would be a great way to do it. A regular brick, you can buy used brick. All would be great. Gonzo School says, did you write your first manuscript by hand or do you use the computer for that? Back in the day when I first started writing books, I wrote everything out by hand, and then I went either to the library or somewhere and typed it out on the laptop. But now I just type them in. And so that's not always true. If I'm somewhere and I have my my bag and I've got a pad of paper and a gel pen in there, I've written whole chapters, like a huge part of Hell in the Sea, which I hope to get out this year, was handwritten. I handwrote it wherever I was. And so I don't have a preference. I actually don't have a problem with handwriting stuff. It's just if I have the laptop, it just makes it a lot easier to go in and do edits and all that kind of stuff you get on the laptop. I can do it either way, and I have done. I've written entire books. My first book I ever wrote was completely handwritten and then was typed in on an old Selectric typewriter. All right, if you have questions or comments, anything you want to talk about, get it in the comments section. Let's have a conversation. We're only 31 minutes in, but I pretty much talked about the stuff that I had. I basically hoping that people are going to wake up and they're going to realize that you are responsible for you. And you are responsible for you and your family. And it's not the government's job to take care of you, but it's going to be their job to stop you from having any freedom. Do not rely on people that hate you to provide for you. Just not a good idea. Don't be dependent on people that hate you. Doesn't that just make sense? Am I talking crazy here? Yes, I'm planning on doing the book club thing. I will probably get started on that maybe tomorrow. I wanted to get started on it while I was in Fredericksburg, but I was having too much fun. See, I just admit, when I lay down on the job, I just admit it. I was having too much fun, hanging out with my friends, hanging out with my wife, walking, drinking beer and scotch, and eating delicious food, German food, and sausages and whatnot. And so I was just having too much fun. All right, you guys, smash the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed. We're trying to get 3,000 subscribers. Trying to get 3,000 subscribers. Just for those of you who don't know how long this shows that I've been putting stuff on YouTube. It took us 10 years to get 1,000 subscribers. And then we got 1,000 subscribers in about 8 months. So at that pace, we should be able to hit 3,000 subscribers in 6 months or less. Wouldn't that be great? You guys going to work with me? We're going to do it. Bunker Nation going to do it. We're going to hit 3,000. All right. I may be misremembering, but anything coming of the movie? Yeah, for Pennsylvania. Yeah, it's still, the option is still was repurchased in early November. So it's still alive right now. There's just some impediments that are COVID related that are impediments to the thing moving forward. Hopefully those are going to be lifted soon. I have no idea. Nobody knows anything. But it is still alive. They just recently repurchased the option for another year, so it's still rolling. Do you expect a major inflationary event soon? And it says, with all the stimulus money recently printed, electronically created. I do believe that we're going to see, we're already seeing inflation, by the way. And inflation numbers that are put out by the government are false. Inflation works a lot of different ways. A lot of it is the shrinking of packaging, the shrinking of the amount of stuff you actually get, decreasing in quality. But it's also regular inflation. Prices are going up. We're going to see gas prices most likely. I could be wrong, but I think we're going to see gas prices up to where they wanted them before, the $4 or $5, $6 range. I think we're going to see massive inflation on staples. Are going to get more and more expensive. We're already seeing that on a lot of them. A lot of them are just
Yeah, I think I'm back. Yeah, so what happened is the generator went out, so I lost my backlighting too. So lighting is gonna be a little off. Hope you stuck around. I'm trying to be back. Yeah, it froze because my generator went out. I don't know why. It had gas in it, so maybe it got low on oil, and it has an automatic shut off. So maybe that's what happened. Let me know if you're back. I'm hanging out here for a few more minutes. I just want to come back and tell you that they didn't like helicopter parachute in and get me. Why would they do that anyway? I'm just a harmless little guy out here in the middle of nowhere, don't even have electricity. So let me know if you're out there still, and if we're back on. Somebody come on here and let me know if I'm back on. Yeah, I just sat here. I heard the generator go off, then I saw the lights go off, and I'm like, oh, great. So I'm running off battery power right this minute. Let me know if you're out there. We're back. All right. Glad to have you back. Glad so many of you stuck around. That's very, very nice of you. When I put this video up, I'm gonna have to go in and like cut out that frozen part. Yes, we're on. Good to see you guys. Everybody, welcome back in. Welcome to the Bunker Nation Show. My name is Michael Bunker. I'm going to be your host for the next 2 to 3 minutes. We lost power. That's what happens when you live off grid. You don't know how many people give me that, like, you're not really off grid. If you're on Facebook, if you're on the YouTube, you're not off grid. You big dummies. Yes, I am. All right. My grandparents got REA, which is the Rural Electric Authority. In the late 1930s, we lived in that house later on. I was looking around in the pasture behind the house and found an old flat iron. I showed it to Dad, and he laughed, and he said that when they got electricity, one of the first things they bought was an electric iron. She took her old flat iron and threw it as far as she could over the pasture fence. Probably going to need that thing. You want to keep it. We've got a flat iron and know how to use it. And so, yeah, and the thing is that read a book called Henry and the Great Society. When rural electrification first happened, they sold it to you as the fact that it was going to be dirt cheap, just pennies to have electricity. But the fact is, what they really wanted to do is sell all the stuff. People were independent. A flat iron means you don't need anything from the store. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to have a job. You could raise your own food. You could hang out with your family, and you could the stuff that you needed to perpetuate the species and be happy was available, came up out of the ground. And if you did buy something, it was something you bought once. You just bought it once. And so what they wanted was a throwaway society where everything plugs into the wall and you have to keep buying stuff. So you have to keep. And so, yes, electricity was pennies, but you got that iron. Then you got to plug in a kettle. Then you had to plug in a stove. Then you had to plug in a blender. Then you had to plug. They sold you a billion things. To everything had a cord on it. You're gonna plug it all in, and it was all junk. I'm not against electricity. I'm using it right now, you big dummies. I'm just saying, don't be dependent on it. Learn how to do without it in case you have to. Then you can use it as much as you want to. But this is the thing you need to remember. The more dependent you are, the more unsurvivable you are, the more subject your offspring and their offspring are to interruptions and to power-hungry people who know that by withholding benefits, they can get the people to do whatever they want. Guess what? Look around. Look around what's going on. What's been going on for the last year? People or whoever running around burning stuff, beating up cities, destroying things. Guess what? It's because they want more stuff. And the stuff is being held up or distributed by government. Start learning to be independent. That's what we need to do. All right, everybody. I'm sorry for the interruption, but it's part of what comes with the show. That's why you should subscribe, because you never know what's going to happen. I appreciate you guys. It's starting to get a little bit cold. Yeah, the more controllable you are, just like a hamster on a habit trail. Once they get you where they want you and you become dependent on them, then they have all the power. And you go, I don't want the bad people in power because the bad people are going to take away my this and that and that. I want the good people in power because they're going to take stuff from the other people and they're going to do this with it and it's going to make the economy better. That's not how government should be. We tell them you're not allowed to do certain things. We have the right to life, liberty, and property, communicate, defend ourselves, or right to say the things that we think, to participate in the marketplace of ideas. The other stuff should not be that important. It should never be so important that the whole country stops or goes into a burning meltdown because of who wins elections. We have to develop a system at some point where that's not that important. Don't give them any more power, and then it's not that important. They're not allowed to do stuff. That's the whole purpose of government, is they're not allowed to do stuff. And now they do everything, and so it's so important. We all just screech to a halt, and people go into meltdown, pandemonium. All right, y'all, I started to sign off, and then I went off on a mini rant. All right, you guys, subscribe to the show. I appreciate you all. You know I love you. Lord willing, I'll be back, if not tomorrow or the next day. I don't know when it'll be, but it'll be soon. Lord willing. And we'll do this again. Thank you all. Remember, after the show's over, come back in 10 minutes. Go down to the comment section on YouTube. Leave a comment. Appreciate you all. God bless. I'll talk to you soon.